Cougar football is on the air. This is the 2022 Crimson and Gray game presented by BECU on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield. BECU, proud sponsor of WSU. Go Cougs! As a member-owned credit union, BECU puts Cougs over profit. Today's Crimson and Gray game is also brought to you by Aspen Heights, Avista, by Coors Light, Northern Quest Resort and Casino, Palouse Ridge Golf Club, by Pullman Regional Hospital, and by Spokane International Airport. Alongside Alex Brink, here's Derek Dice.
All right, good afternoon, Cougar football fans, and welcome to the 2022 Washington State Football Crimson and Gray game. I'm Derek Dice, filling in for Matt Chasnow today, joined by Alex Brink, the QB, and Jess Mcintyre will be joining us shortly here on the broadcast. And 55 degrees, the sun is shining down here on Giesa Field. It's a great day for some football, Alex.
Derek, I got to play golf this morning, man.
Yes,
I tell you what, the last 2 days. But, yeah, it's gorgeous here. I mean, booth view's amazing. You know, teams on the field. We're going to get to see a new-look offense. We're going to see, you know, a new head coach, so to speak, but a ton of new faces on the coaching staff. I got a chance to spend some time in the facility this week and was blown away by Jake Dickert and his staff and, you know, the men in that room and the leadership I think that they are going to show with this team, on top of all the football things, is going to be something Coug fans are going to be really, really excited about.
Well, let's start there then, because Jake Dickert could have gone to a lot of guys he was familiar with from past jobs or whatnot, but really he went out and found some really good assistants. Brian Ward is a guy that he'd worked with before, but he's been a defensive coordinator, big time level, for a long time. Eric Morris, going back kind of to that Leach tree, but I felt like all the hires he made this season were home runs.
He nailed it. I tell you what, and it started first with Pat Chun hiring Jake Dickert and knowing, you know, having a plan and kind of knowing what, you know, he wanted in that hiring process. And then Jake Dickert, again, to your point, kind of knowing what he wanted. And we know that he's a great defensive coordinator. We know that he's got a great defensive scheme, and he wanted to keep that going. That's why he brought Brian Ward in. I mean, it is – I talked to Coach Ward. He said 90% of it is the same scheme. And so there's not a lot that these guys are going to have to learn. Sure. And it helps – for him coming from Nevada, he brings two veteran players in Diane Henley at linebacker and Jordan Lee at safety that can come step in right away, who already know the system also. So I think there's synergy there. That's great. Eric Morris. Boy, I tell you what, I'm an offensive guy. I'm a quarterback guy. So when I see an offense like what Coach Morris has, what he did at Incarnate Word, which is perennially a terrible FCS program that he completely turned around.
I think one win the year before he got there.
To be a powerhouse, won the league twice if I remember correctly. But I mean, they ended up being a powerhouse. Obviously, that he found Cam Ward, but more importantly, he took the air raid, right, that he learned from Coach Leach, played at Texas Tech. He's a West Texas kid that ends up in Lubbock. You know, he learns it. Then as he went through his coaching career, he was with Cliff Kingsbury for some time. Wow. He had his own time, you know, calling plays, obviously, and he took that air raid and he's added to it and he's tweaked it and he's done some really unique things that are going to make it really fun to watch. It's all the things Coug fans loved about the air raid. Yeah. And then all the things they hated, they're not going to have to worry about because they're going to run the football. They're going to have tight ends. They're going to be more physical, right? All the things. And so, yeah, it's been really fun to get to know those guys and watch them. I'm excited to see the product on the field today.
All right, let's go down onto the field. I believe we have Jess Mcintyre with us. And Jess, again, this is a new look kind of team here. And what are you excited to see out there today?
Well, obviously everyone wants to talk about the quarterback. What I'm actually really interested in is the continuity on defense. Obviously, Dayon Henley is one that we're going to be watching. I had a really good conversation with Jake Dickert last week about, you know, the loss of Jahad Woods was, you know, that's not going to go unnoticed, but the fact that he said that he doesn't think that this defense is going to miss a step at that linebacker position is one that was very encouraging to me as well, especially coming from a defensive coach, which we haven't seen here in quite some time. Obviously, this has been the helm of an offensive-led mind. So the defense is really going to be interesting for me. Obviously, we all want to see what Cam Ward has to offer. But this is a spring game. We can't, you know, get a little bit ahead of ourselves. They're not going to see hard hits. You know, this is friendly fire down here. But just really liking the energy down here. Everyone is coming together after so much change, especially on the senior staff on this team have seen over the years. Now it's starting to mind me this, feel a little bit back to normal, just under a new look, guys.
Yeah, so many exciting things, and Jess mentioned the energy, and a lot of that comes from some of these members of the coaching staffs that are new. You mentioned Joel Fulani, Mark Atuaya, the running back coach. These guys seem to bring it each and every day. So let's take our very first time out. When we come back, we'll talk about that new quarterback that was brought up from Incarnate Word, and it played for Eric Morris down there. We'll talk about Cam Ward after this. You're listening to Washington State Football from Learfield.
For Cougs, there's no place like WSU. Late night apps at the Coug, early morning tailgating at Martin Stadium, and every day spent rocking the crimson and gray. So celebrate the return to campus with better rates and fewer fees with the WSU debit and credit cards from BECU. Learn more at becu.org/WSU. Federally insured by NCUA. Contact BECU at 800-233-2328 for information.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
This is Drew Bledsoe, and you're listening to Cougar Football.
Bledsoe calls his play, has the ball, throws a home run ball from the end zone to Bobo. Touchdown! Washington State!
On the Washington State Sports Network.
You may be eager to break ground on a new outdoor project, but never just start digging. Buried electric and natural gas lines can be anywhere. It's the law to call 811 at least 2 business days before you dig. Spray paint white lines showing your dig zone, and a crew will mark the utility lines. Mark accuracy zone is within 2 feet of the mark, so always hand dig to expose the line first. Call 811 before you dig. The service is free for residential customers. Avista, we just want you to be safe.
Play Palouse Ridge, the 18-hole championship golf course on Washington State University's Pullman campus. Through June 1st, buy 1 bucket of range balls and get another bucket of balls for free, plus 10% off golf shop merchandise. Round Top Public House Restaurant is open and ready for the season. Schedule tee times and find rate information at PalouseRidge.com. That's PalouseRidge.com. Mention Spring Game to redeem this offer.
Listening to the Crimson and Gray Game, presented by BECU on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield. BECU, proud sponsor of WSU. Go Cougs! As a member-owned credit union, BECU puts Cougs over profit.
All right, welcome back to the Crimson and Gray Game. Derek Dice, Alex Brink here with you in the Bob Robertson broadcast suite inside of Martin Stadium. We're going to go right back down to the field now because Jess Mcintyre is catching up with one of the Cougs NFL hopefuls from last season in Abe Lucas, who you might have heard is shooting up NFL draft boards. Jess?
Yeah, definitely shooting up for sure. I feel like I'm speaking into the clouds right now. I've got Abe Lucas right here. What brings you back to Pullman today?
Well, I was in town for the spring game or for a pro day, and then, I started taking 30 visits and just figured I'd come back here. I'm going to be doing my draft sub up here. I'm not going to say where because I don't need anybody following me, but my family's going to come up and I'm going to see them. So, yeah, it'll be nice.
Is it fair to ask you what's going on in your life now that it's, on the East Coast? Are you able to fill us in on what's going on in your NFL career?
I'm just waiting for the draft, waiting to see where I go and all, and take it from there.
That sounds pretty promising, obviously. Without giving anything away, obviously. Let's look back on your college career. What was the thing that you missed most or enjoyed the most about Washington?
I enjoyed it all. I don't know if there was one specific thing, I'm really, really happy I came here to go to school here, and it worked out for me. I guess it was a gamble just because I didn't know what to expect coming from high school to college, but I'm really glad that I made the choice. It worked out for me, so I loved it all.
Spring game. What was your favorite moment that ever happened in a spring game? Any, obviously nobody wants to hit each other. Nobody wants to do anything off the books, but any fun stories?
Not really from the spring. I mean, I just remember my first spring game ever. I mean, I remember all of them. I mean, I was happy that we decided to do it here instead of in Joe Albee, and driving all the way down there. I thought it was just easier to do it here, but I just remember my first one, and I did well enough, but that was a big moment, I think, in my career, just, being like my first game, so to speak.
All right. For anyone, there are a lot of, maybe college hopefuls here on the sidelines. What would you say to anyone who was thinking about coming to Washington State?
It's a great place. I mean, it's a particular taste. I loved it. Well, like here, like it will be anywhere else, it's going to be a lot of work, but, it's well worth it in the end, even if you may not feel it, like a burning fire or motivational desire. You come, you keep showing up, and, it'll work its way out for you.
Thank you so much for your time. All right. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
All right, that was Jess Mcintyre with Abe Lucas. And, Alex, this is a guy who, going into the NFL draft process, was considered maybe a third or fourth round pick. I saw a video of analysts talking about him after the combine as being probably a solid second-round guy, maybe even sneaking in late first round.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's the draft, so there is a lot of body. There's a lot of bodies, a lot of talented athletes, at the tackle position. But it is rare that you find a combination like what Abe Lucas has. His athletic ability, his long arms, his ability to punch. He can run block. We've known that he's been a great pass blocker for years. I would argue that this last year, and really the last two, kind of that run and shoot system, he did a nice job. But in general, offensive line-wise, I don't think it was an easy system for those guys to play under. And so I think, his best days might have been early in his career from a productivity standpoint, but I don't know if it was a reflection on him as a player. And I think that's why you're seeing him now kind of go back up draft boards, because after his sophomore year, everybody's like, oh, this guy's a surefire first-rounder. Yeah. Then the last couple of years, it's like, well, maybe not. I think that had less to do with Abe himself and the offensive line themselves, and I think it had more to do with that system, frankly. And so you're seeing now people get, he's in front of people and they're saying, oh, this is the guy we remember from our sophomore year. He's got a great attitude, he's mean, he's tough, he's physical. That's what you want, but he's got the athletic ability on top of it.
All right, let's talk about the quarterback position now. Everybody wants to know about Cam Ward, who Eric Morris brought over from Incarnate Word. I mean, this is a guy that was playing at the FCS level, and was overlooked out of high school, but he's got all the tools, Alex, and I know you sat in on a quarterback meeting and are awfully impressed.
Yeah, I did, and, his story's great, right? I mean, he was from a small town in Texas. They ran, the wing tee, right, in high school. He barely threw the football. He tried all the things, did 7-on-7, did camps, had a quarterback coach, couldn't get out, but Eric Morris saw him and said, God, there's something about this guy. Brings him to Incarnate Word right away as a freshman, wins the job, and he's, I think he's the Jerry Rice Award Newcomer of the Year, right, as a freshman, and then last year he was a finalist for the Walter Payton as a second-year player, right, for the Offensive Player of the Year.
Which, for people who don't know, that's basically the Heisman.
Yeah, it's basically the Heisman, right? It's the Heisman at the FCS level. He was incredibly productive, and I was blown away sitting in that quarterback meeting with, his command of this offense as a young player already, because, he's a sophomore, going to be a junior. I mean, he's young, and so he's played a lot of ball, but, he sits in that room, he commands the room, he's answering the questions. When he makes a mistake on film, he knows right away why it happened and how to make the adjustment. That side of it really impressed me. Outside of the obvious physical talent, 6'2", 223 pounds, he can flat stroke the football. I mean, he can throw it. It comes from different angles, which is cool, because nowadays that's something you have to be able to play off platform. It's hyperbolic to say Pat Mahomes, but that's the idea, right? Like, you have to be able to do those sort of things, and he can. I mean, he can absolutely drop down and go three quarters. He can get on top of the football and layer it. He can drive it downfield. He can do it all. I mean, there is no doubt that he is a big-time college football player. The transition will be, honestly, speed of the game from FCS to FBS, particularly Pac-12. What's interesting, though, Incarnate Word got a lot of, FBS players to come down, like drop down to their program. So he's been, like he said, their team speed was great at Incarnate Word. So he's like, receiver-wise and things like that. I've seen all of that. But when the live bolts start flying, in a Pac-12 game, when you got Utah, SC, right, when you got to go to Wisconsin, all those sort of things, that's different, for sure. And so that'll be a little bit of the growth for him.
All right, so we know Cam Ward is going to be the opening day starter at WSU. So really the quarterback competition comes down to the backup spot, right? We've got Xavier Ward. We've got Victor Gabalos. We've got Emmett Brown in there. Gabalos might not play today. Sounds like he's nursing an injury right now. But those guys are all competing for that number 2 spot.
Yeah, and it's talking to Eric Morris. All of those guys have shown good things so far, kind of getting into the system. He's been really pleasantly surprised with the true freshman, Emmett Brown. He's from Southern California, came up early this spring. He's not very big. I mean, he's 5'9", maybe 5'10". I saw him during the recruiting process through the Elite 11 and at some camps, and he was a guy that I was always really impressed with. But, it was a challenge when you're a smaller quarterback to get the look. So he walks on here at Washington State, and Eric said, boy, he's really been doing a nice job. So he's been solid. Xavier Ward is in his second year coming off the injury last year, so he's kind of getting himself back into shape. At practice, he's making a lot of plays, and he can do a lot of things. The system fits him well. So I think we're going to see a lot of him today. I think Emmett Brown also. And then Gabalos, whenever he goes, we know, that last game against Central Michigan, we kind of saw what he was all about. His toughness, his grit. I don't think early in the season that situation against SC and some of those things, was super fair to him in the end. So, I would never judge a quarterback by, that instance. And so, I loved what I saw against Central Michigan. And so, when Gabalos gets back and when he gets his shot, I think it's going to be a real battle for that number 2 spot.
Hey, BECU is a proud sponsor of WSU. As a member-owned credit union, BECU puts Cougs over profit. Join today at becu.org. Restrictions apply. Go Cougs. All right, we are just getting away. It's so nice to be talking football again here in the spring. We've got much more pregame coverage coming your way here for the Crimson and Gray game, live from Washington State University campus. This is Cougar football from Learfield.
What makes Camas Rewards at Northern Quest the best loyalty card in the region? Easy. It lets you earn and redeem points in more ways than just gaming. We're talking everything from steaks at Maslow's, pub grub at Epic, and spa days at La Rive, to shopping at Windfall and fuel at our Kalispell Chevrons. You name it. And if you sign up now, you could win up to $2,022 in reward play instantly. No one does rewards quite like Northern Quest.
Calling all Cougs. Upgrade your housing when you live at Aspen Heights this fall. This brand new luxury cottage community is built with you in mind. Spacious floor plans, modern furniture, 24/7 amenities, a resort-style hot tub, a private shuttle exclusive to Aspen Heights residents, a guaranteed 4-hour maintenance response time, and so much more, all for the lowest cottage rate in Pullman. Find their leasing office above Valhalla on Colorado Street, or go online to aspenpullman.com to learn how to save over $800 on your rent for a limited time.
This is Joshua Anderson. Hey, Cooper.
This is Jason Hansen, and you're listening to Cougar Football.
You're listening to Washington State Football. Go Cougs.
College sports fans now have access to hundreds of weekly podcasts that zero in on the college sports world. Now available in the Varsity Podcast Network and part of the new Varsity app. The app is free and available from wherever you get your favorite apps. Download the Varsity app today to have access to hundreds of national podcasts as well as your favorite team-focused podcasts. The Varsity Podcast Network, now available for free on the Varsity app. Download from the App Store and listen today.
For Cougs, there's no place like WSU. Late night apps at the Coug, early morning tailgating at Martin Stadium, and every day spent rocking the Crimson and Gray. So celebrate the return to campus with better rates and fewer fees with the WSU debit and credit cards from BECU. Learn more at becu.org/WSU. Federally insured by NCUA. Contact BECU at 800-233-2328 for information.
All right, welcome back to Pullman. We've got temperatures in the mid-50s. The sun is shining down here on Giesa Field. I'm Derek Dice alongside Alex Brink and Jess Mcintyre, who we'll hear from again in just a couple of minutes. All right, Alex, we talked about the quarterback position. Maybe the biggest question mark on the entire team, offense or defense right now, is the offensive line position, because we talked to Abe Lucas a little bit ago. He's going to be playing in the NFL. Liam Ryan very well might be playing in the NFL. Brian Green is gone, so you've got a lot of question marks of those spots.
You do. And I would say that talking to the coaches, they're very aware of it. I mean, they feel like that is a point of emphasis during this offseason, is trying to get the offensive line shorn up. I mean, the reality is, and nobody's going to like to hear this, but, that offensive line room was in a great spot when Mason Miller left. And, 2 years later, it is not nearly as deep. you lose a lot of talent, and so there are holes that they have to fill. And so I think Clay McGuire's got a big job on his hands. He knows that, but he's done it here before, and he kind of did it from ground zero, right? He's the one that laid the foundation for Mason Miller, and then so he knows what it takes to get there. But they're going to have to work hard to get that group shorn up. Now they do have some experience coming back. You got Jarrett Kingston, you got Maaka Fafita, you got Connor Gomez, so you got some guys that played. Hilborn got some snaps, right? And so I think they feel like they have a group of 5 or 6 that they can go win with. But it's what's past that, right? And where's the 7, 8, 9, 10? And think about when Mike Leach was here. I mean, they'd be 14 deep in the offensive line room. Now they're at 8 or 9.
And Grant Stevens is a guy, 6'4", 300 pounds, out of northern Colorado, a grad transfer that comes in. He might be a candidate that could play right tackle, and then if that happens, then maybe Maaka Fafita can slide into right guard.
Yeah, and I think, you hate to rely on, transfers and feel like transfer. That's the reality of, the game now with the transfer portals. You can really level up your roster by utilizing it, and so you would hate to have to rely on a guy like that. But if Stevens can come in and be a guy that can play right away, it would really help the depth of that room for sure.
Let's talk about the running back position now, too, because gone are Max Borghi and gone is Deion McIntosh. So it's kind of Nakia Watson and then a bunch of other guys who are mostly new faces. Obviously, Javenzi Brazil has been in the system but hasn't played a lot.
Yeah, and Brazil, starting with him, right, we've talked about him for a couple of years. I mean, coming from Florida, he's a speed burner. He's got a ton of juice, has had a hard time kind of staying healthy and getting acclimated. And, that happens, right? When kids leave home, they travel a long way away. You just never know how that stuff plays out. So, you'll look for him during this offseason, hopefully, to kind of settle in because he can make a difference. And they need to find depth because Nakia Watson absolutely is the guy. He's been taking the majority of the snaps in practice, looks great, leaned down a little bit. He knew he had to lean down a little bit to continue to get faster. I think that was probably one thing that he felt like he could work on as he got into the Pac-12 game. And he had his moments in Wisconsin. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot. He's had a handful of opportunities here at Washington State, but a lot of it was garbage time. A lot of it was late because he was playing behind 2 great players. This is his time, in my personal opinion. And Eric Morris wants to have balance on offense. You're not going to see just inside zone. You're not just going to see outside zone. You're going to see a lot of different looks running the football, which I think for a guy like Nakia Watson, who can be a downhill power back, can be a really good thing. I mean, I think kind of Jamal Morrow, think that group, Gerard Wicks, think that group of guys, right? When those guys are running downhill, even in that old air raid system, they were really effective. And I think Watson can be that guy also.
All right, Pullman Regional Hospital is a major sponsor for today's Crimson and Gray game. Our Matt Chaz and I caught up with CEO Scott Adams and Ruben Mays. We'll have that interview for you coming up after the break. Don't go away.
For Cougs, there's no place like WSU. Late night apps at the Coug, early morning tailgating at Martin Stadium, and every day spent rocking the Crimson and Gray. So celebrate the return to campus with better rates and fewer fees with the WSU debit and credit cards from BECU. Learn more at becu.org/WSU. Federally insured by NCUA. Contact BECU at 800-233-2328 for information.
Spokane International Airport is a proud sponsor of Washington State University Athletics.
The airport connects Cougar fans and alums to 22 major centers throughout the West with over 50 daily departures to 22 nonstop destinations served by AHA, Alaska, Allegiant, American, Delta, Frontier, Southwest, and United Airlines.
Real-time arrival and departure flight information is available at www.spokaneairports.net. Spokane International Airport, when it's time to fly.
Cougar football.
Rolling right with the ball, going to throw the long ball down the middle, man open.
Watch the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown, and the Palouse is going to pop.
Cougar football from Learfield.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
This Washington State University sports broadcast is brought to you in part by Pullman Regional Hospital, the official hospital of Washington State Athletics. The combined expertise of our university and our award-winning hospital is being deployed to provide greater access to resources, education, employment opportunities, and innovations to improve healthcare and health outcomes for all of us. Pullman Regional Hospital and Washington State, partners in excellence.
We're here today with Scott Adams, CEO of Pullman Regional Hospital, and Ruben Mays, Chief Development and External Relations Officer. We're kicking off a new season of Cougar football. So glad to have you with us. Pullman Regional is the official hospital of WSU Athletics. And not only do you serve our region, you also provide care for our student athletes. What might be surprising is the variety of ways the hospital supports student athletes, from cardiology and EKGs to access to award-winning emergency care and orthopedic care. Scott, how long has this been an area of focus?
Matt, good to be with you. Thank you. The hospital and WSU Athletics and WSU students have been a part of our work for decades just because of our relationship. And prior to the new hospital being built, we were right on the campus. And so we've worked with students for emergency services, which most people would understand, but especially for student athletes, cardiology in recent years has become an area of opportunity, not only for EKGs, but for echocardiograms and different preventative workups to assure that student athletes remain healthy. We've had great relationships with WSU student services for mental health types of activities and counseling services. And now we have a new sleep medicine physician in town. And so that's an area that, the connection between sleep and good health is increasingly becoming an area of focus. So there's just continued growth and opportunities for this long-standing relationship with WSU.
Ruben, you know a little bit about the importance of good health care from your college and your pro football career. From a player's perspective, what does that mean for performance and peace of mind, knowing you have a great hospital if you need it, and you have all these healthcare professionals dedicated to your health?
Well, thanks, Matt. Yeah, it's, hospital has always become an extension of the team. And when you think about that, that's really the people that Scott has mentioned, the cardiologists, sleep medicine, mental health, other areas of services that really provide the confidence and the health so that the student athlete can perform well in the field. And I had the same thing as a college player and as a professional football player, on that stage. Especially we talk about cardiology, you talk about orthopedics and the nicks and bumps that come along the way and trying to perform at a very high level. And it's really those conversations that you have after practice, after a game, leading up to a game, to performing and winning, and having the care that's provided by Pullman Regional Hospital and these specialists is really important. So that's how I've experienced it, and that's how I see it in my role here at the hospital, working with Dr. Tinkstead and many, many others. In addition to that, when there's a need for actual intervention, for surgery, we do have the latest in robotic assisted technology that really helps with that in a number of ways. And so it may not be particularly for a student athlete in terms of getting a knee replaced or a shoulder replaced or anything like that, but having that expertise when in terms of technology. And that's something that Pullman Regional Hospital has always been advanced in, having the tools and having the people to put in place that would help every athlete perform at their very best level. And so when you evaluate all of that, it really elevates the quality of life. I remember, wake up in the morning and having a sore Achilles and saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through a Monday night football game? And go into the training room, talk to my trainer, talk to the orthopedic surgeon, get treatment, get my mind right, and then go out and compete. And that's what Pullman Regional Hospital is doing also for every single student athlete.
Scott, you've served as CEO for 30 years at Pullman Regional Hospital. Under your leadership, Pullman Regional Hospital's continued to grow. What's next?
Well, things continue to expand, opportunities continue to open up in front of us. Of course, most folks are aware that we look forward to the opening of the family medicine residency in our partnership with the LCNS Floyd College of Medicine. Additional specialties have been brought in. I mentioned Dr. Nandini, a medicine physician, along with Dr. Bayona, a new psychiatrist in the community. The Orthopedic Center of Excellence has added Dr. Aaron Vandenbos and Dr. Matt Taylor to the cadre of folks there. We look forward to expanding the opportunities in our affiliation with WSU Athletics to support the medical care needs that they have there. Our robotic capabilities, as Ruben mentioned, continue to expand in the area of gynecology and general surgery and urology, but also orthopedics with additional equipment and additional robotic technology coming in there. And then with all these other activities and new specialties, our space needs continue to expand. And so developing plans at a master facilities level for the growth of the hospital are all a part of the things we're working on, in addition to upgrading our electronic medical record to have it be a more community-wide electronic health record. So a lot of great stuff in the works.
Love it. Scott and Ruben, thank you as always for this time. It's the spring game here. It's another season. We're getting the season in the summer for Cougar football and a bright future ahead here with head coach Dickert. And we really are appreciative of all that comes along with the relationship with Pullman Regional Hospital. Thank you guys for this time.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
If you use natural gas, you recognize its blue flame. But natural gas is actually invisible and odorless. That's why Avista adds a rotten egg scent in case there's ever a leak. If you smell natural gas at home, get outside fast. Don't flip switches or do anything to cause a spark. Go somewhere safe. Call 911. Then Avista. We'll take care of the problem and tell you when it's okay to return. Till then, it's a good excuse to visit the neighbors. Avista. We just want you to be safe.
Play Palouse Ridge, the 18-hole championship golf course on Washington State University's Pullman campus. Through June 1st, buy 1 bucket of range balls and get another bucket of balls for free, plus 10% off golf shop merchandise. Round Top Public House Restaurant is open and ready for the season. Schedule tee times and find rate information at PalouseRidge.com. That's PalouseRidge.com. Mention Spring Game to redeem this offer.
Hey, you guys, this is Mike Utley, and you're listening to Washington State football.
Calling all Cougs. Upgrade your housing when you live at Aspen Heights this fall. This brand new luxury cottage community is built with you in mind. Spacious floor plans, modern furniture, 24/7 amenities, a resort-style hot tub, a private shuttle exclusive to Aspen Heights residents, a guaranteed 4-hour maintenance response time, and so much more, all for the lowest cottage rate in Pullman. Find their leasing office above Valhalla on Colorado Street or go online to aspenpullman.com to learn how to save over $800 on your rent for a limited time.
What makes Camus Rewards at Northern Quest the best loyalty card in the region? Easy. It lets you earn and redeem points in more ways than just gaming. We're talking everything from steaks at Maslow's, pub grub at Epic, and spa days at La Rive, to shopping at Windfall and fuel at our Kalispell Chevrons. You name it. And if you sign up now, you could win up to $2,022 in reward play instantly. No one does rewards quite like Northern Quest.
All right, welcome back to Pullman. We are just about ready for some football here at Martin Stadium for the Crimson and Gray game. Your former head coach, Bill Doba, just did the coin toss. We had Renard Bell and Armani Marsh out there for the as the honorary captains. We've got the offense in crimson. We've got the defense in white. And for our scoring system now, let's go back down on the field with Jess Mcintyre.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, well, offense is going to look, pretty much the way it usually does. You got 6 points for a touchdown, PAT 1 point, field goal 3 points, and then 2-point conversion is a 2-point conversion. But as I just talked to head coach Jake Dickert about, defense needs to score touchdowns too, is what he told me. And they're trying to keep this as real as possible to, a consistent game. Obviously, we're months away from seeing that. But on the defense, you will get points. And as we know, we haven't seen this kind of this isn't the traditional game that we've seen in the spring game with offense versus defense. So 3 points for a forced punt, 1 point for a forced missed field goal, 4 points for a 3-and-out, 7 points for a takeaway. So that's going to be big on this one. The ball belongs to everyone. 2 points for a safety as well. As we are about to kick off, guys, I'll send it back up.
All right, Jessamine, thank you so much. The offense is waiting for the official signal from the officials. The ball is spotted at the 25-yard line on the left hash. Offense